The alarm started at exactly 6:47 in the morning. Captain Park Do-yun was drinking his second cup of coffee when every screen in the Seoul Metropolitan Space Authority turned red. He spilled hot coffee on his uniform but didn't notice. His eyes were fixed on the massive shape appearing on the orbital scanners. The ship was huge. It was easily 5 times larger than any human vessel. Its surface was smooth and dark purple, like a bruise in the sky. It moved with a grace that made human ships look like clumsy toys. "Sir, we're receiving a transmission," said Lieutenant Han Ji-woo, her fingers flying over her keyboard. Her face was pale. It's in Korean." Do-hyun set down his coffee cup. "Play it." A voice filled the room. It was female, cold, and perfectly clear. The words sent ice down everyone's spine. "I have come for what is mine." The message repeated, again and again. Nothing else. Do-hyun grabbed his communicator. "Get me the defense minister. Get me the president. Get me everyone." He looked at the ship on the screen. He had seen this design before, in classified files from 5 years ago. "And find me everything we have on the Velari Empire." The Velari. Humanity had met them only once. A brief encounter at the edge of explored space. They were powerful. They controlled 12 star systems. Their technology was centuries ahead of Earth's. The meeting had been tense but peaceful. Then the Velari had simply left. No one knew why they were back. Within 2 hours, the alien ship descended through Earth's atmosphere. It landed in a field outside Seoul, crushing several farming drones beneath it. Military vehicles surrounded the area. Soldiers pointed weapons that Do-hyun knew would be useless against Velari shields. He stood at the front, wearing his best diplomatic uniform, trying to look calm. Inside, his heart was beating like a drum. The ship's door opened. Light poured out, bright and golden. A figure stepped forward. Empress Nalith was terrifying and beautiful at the same time. She stood nearly 7 feet tall. Her skin was deep blue and seemed to shimmer like the surface of water. She had 4 arms, each one elegant and strong. Her eyes were large and completely black, but they reflected light in ways that showed emotion. Right now, they showed cold determination. She wore armor that looked like liquid silver flowing over her body. A crown of floating crystals circled her head. She looked like a goddess of war. Behind her came only 4 guards. For a ruler of 12 star systems, it was almost nothing. Either she was very confident, or this was not an invasion. Do-hyun stepped forward and bowed. "Your Majesty, I am Captain Park Do-hyun of Earth's Diplomatic Corps. On behalf of humanity, I welcome you to our world." His voice was steady, but his hands were sweating. "May I ask the purpose of your visit?" Nalith looked at him. Her gaze felt like it could see through his skull and read his thoughts. When she spoke, her voice was the same one from the transmission. Cold, clear, and powerful. "I am not here for your governments or your armies. I am here for one person." She paused. "Bring me the human called Kim Yuna." The name hit Do-hyun like a punch. Kim Yuna? The xenobiologist? She was a scientist, not a diplomat or a soldier. Why would the ruler of an interstellar empire want her? "Your Majesty," he said carefully, "Dr. Kim is a civilian researcher. She has no authority to—" "I did not ask about her authority." Nalith's eyes flashed with something, anger, pain. "I asked you to bring her. She has something that belongs to me." Her voice dropped lower. "She has my daughter." Silence fell over the field. Soldiers looked at each other in confusion. Do-hyun's mind raced. Kim Yuna had a daughter, yes. Everyone knew that. A young girl she had adopted years ago. A quiet, strange child who— Oh no. The pieces fell into place. The child. The child with slightly odd features that doctors could never quite explain. The child Kim Yuna had brought back from the first contact mission, claiming she had found her in the wreckage of a destroyed station. The child who was not human. "Your Majesty," Do-yun said slowly, "are you saying that Dr. Kim's adopted daughter is Valari?" "Not just Valari." Naleth's 4 hands clenched into fists. Her eyes swirled with colors, purple, red, silver. "She is Princess Lyrathan, 3rd daughter of my blood, heir to the Valari throne." Her voice cracked, just slightly. "She is my child, Captain, my youngest, and I have mourned her for 5 years, believing her dead." Do-yun felt the weight of those words. A mother who had lost her child. A mother who had just discovered that child was alive, living on an alien world, calling another woman Mom. This was not an invasion. This was something far more complicated. "I will contact Dr. Kim immediately," Do-yun said. "But Your Majesty?" "I must ask, what do you intend to do? If you plan to take the child by force—" "Force?" Naleth interrupted. Something strange crossed her face. It took Do-yun a moment to recognize it. It was almost a smile, but sad. "Captain, if I wanted to take my daughter by force, your entire planet could not stop me. I have a fleet that could turn your cities to glass." She stepped closer, and her voice became quieter. "But that is not why I am here. I am not here as an empress. I am here as a mother." She looked up at the sky, at the blue so different from her own world's purple. "Your Dr. Kim saved my daughter's life. She raised her, loved her, protected her. Among my people, that creates a bond that cannot be broken." Naleth's eyes met Do-yun's. "I have not come to take my daughter away. I have come to understand the woman who became her mother, and perhaps to find a place in her life again." Do-yun stared at her. In all his years of diplomatic training, he had never prepared for this. An alien empress, ruler of 12 star systems, standing in a Korean field, asking not for surrender or tribute, but for the chance to be a mother again. He pulled out his communicator and made the call. "Dr. Kim, this is Captain Park Do-yun. I need you to come to coordinates I'm sending you, and bring your daughter. There's someone here who wants to meet her." He paused, looking at Naleth's face, the hope and fear mixed together. Someone who has been looking for her for a very long time. 5 years ago, Dr. Kim Yuna had been terrified. She was 28 years old, a junior xenobiologist on humanity's first contact mission to the edge of Valari space. She had spent years studying alien biology in laboratories on Earth. She had never expected to actually meet aliens. When the mission was announced, she applied as a joke. When she was accepted, she almost didn't go, but she went, and it changed her life forever. The Valari border station was called Nexus 7. It was a massive structure floating in the darkness between stars, a place for trade and diplomacy. The Valari allowed a small human team to visit as a gesture of goodwill. Yuna was there to study their biology, their medicine, their food. Everything was fascinating. Everything was strange. Then the reactor exploded. Yuna never learned what caused it. Sabotage, some said. An accident, said others. All she knew was that one moment she was in a laboratory, and the next moment the world was fire and screaming. The lights went out. The walls cracked. Air began escaping into space. The human team ran for their ship. Emergency doors were closing everywhere. Yuna got separated from the others. She ran through corridors filled with smoke, stepping over bodies, trying to find her way. That was when she heard the crying. It was a small sound, almost lost in the chaos. A child's voice. Yuna stopped. She knew she should keep running. The station was dying. Every second mattered, but she couldn't leave a child to die. She followed the sound into a collapsed room. Broken metal and glass covered the floor. Underneath a fallen beam, she saw a small figure, a Valari child. Her skin was pale blue, not yet darkened to the deep color of adults. Her 4 small arms were wrapped around herself. One of her legs was bent in a wrong direction. Silver blood pooled beneath her. The child looked up at Yuna with huge, terrified eyes. She said something in Valari language that Yuna didn't understand. But some things don't need translation. The child was asking for help. Yuna lifted the beam. It was heavy, and her muscles screamed, but she lifted it. She picked up the child as gently as she could. The girl cried out in pain, but wrapped her 4 arms around Yuna's neck and held on tight. Yuna ran. She made it to the human ship just as the last door was closing. She squeezed through with the child in her arms. Behind her, the station broke apart, pieces flying into space. Thousands of Valari died that day. The child in her arms should have been one of them. The trip back to Earth took 3 weeks. Yuna stayed with the child the entire time. She set the broken leg. She fed her. She learned a few Valari words. The child learned a few Korean words. Her first one was Yuna. Her second one was Iyama, mom. Yuna tried to find the child's family. She contacted the Valari through official channels. But the Valari Empire was in chaos after the disaster. Communications were broken, records were lost. After months of trying, Yuna received a final message. The child's family was dead. She had no one. So Yuna made a decision. She adopted the child. She named her Lyra, a short, simple name that worked in both Korean and Valari. She brought her home to Seoul, to a small apartment near the university where she worked. She registered her as a special immigration case. She enrolled her in school. It was not easy. Lyra was different. She had 4 arms. Her skin was blue. She didn't understand human customs or human food or human jokes. Other children stared at her. Some were cruel. Teachers didn't know what to do with her. But Yuna loved her. That was the simple truth. From the first moment she held that crying child in the smoke-filled corridor, she loved her. And Lyra loved her back. At night, Lyra would climb into Yuna's bed during thunderstorms and hold her with all 4 arms. She learned Korean faster than anyone expected. She made friends at school, a few good ones who didn't care that she was different. She discovered she loved Korean music, especially the old folk songs. She called Yuna Ioma every single day. Years passed. The memory of the disaster faded. Lyra grew taller, stronger. Her skin darkened toward adult blue. She started asking questions about her birth family, and Yuna told her the truth. They were gone, lost in the explosion. Lyra cried, and Yuna held her. Then Lyra looked up and said, "But I have you." And that was enough. Until now. Yuna stood in her kitchen, staring at the communicator in her hand. Captain Park Do-yun's words echoed in her mind. Someone was looking for Lyra. Someone who had been looking for a very long time. "Iyama?" Lyra walked into the kitchen. She was 12 years old now, tall for her age, her skin a beautiful deep blue. She had been doing homework. "Who was that on the communicator? You look scared." Yuna looked at her daughter. Her daughter. The child she had carried out of fire and raised with all her heart. "Lyra," she said softly, "I need to tell you something. Something I should have told you a long time ago." She sat Lyra down at the kitchen table. She told her about the Valari station, about the explosion, about finding a small child under a fallen beam. She told her about trying to find her family and being told they were dead. "But I don't think they were dead," Yuna said, her voice shaking. "I think someone made a mistake, or I was told wrong. Because there's someone here, Lyra, someone who came from very far away." She took her daughter's 4 hands in her own too. "She says she's your mother, your birth mother." Lyra's eyes went wide. Her skin shifted color slightly, a sign of strong emotion. But you're my mother." "I am," Yuna said firmly. "I always will be. Nothing changes that." She squeezed Lyra's hands. "But you had a life before me, baby, a family, and I think your family wants to find you again." Lyra was quiet for a long moment. Then she asked, "What do we do?" Yuna thought about running. She thought about hiding. She thought about lawyers and governments and custody battles. But then she thought about herself, 5 years ago, running through smoke to save a child. She had done the right thing then. She had to do the right thing now. "We go meet her," Yuna said. "Together." 1 hour later, they arrived at the coordinates. Yuna saw the alien ship, the soldiers, the tall blue figure standing like a statue. She saw Empress Nalith turn and look at them. She saw the Empress's eyes find Lyra, and she saw something break on that powerful face. Nalith took one step forward, then another. Then she was running, an Empress of 12 star systems, running across a field like any mother who had just found her lost child. She stopped in front of them. She looked at Lyra with eyes full of tears that glowed silver. She reached out one hand, trembling, and touched Lyra's face. "Lyrathan," she whispered, "my little star. I thought you were gone forever." Lyra looked at this stranger, this alien who was not a stranger, this mother she didn't remember. She looked at Yuna, who nodded gently. Then she looked back at Nalith. "I go by Lyra now," she said quietly. "And this is my Iyama." Nalith looked at Yuna. Their eyes met. 2 mothers, 1 child. "Yes," Nalith said slowly, "I know, and that is why I am here." She straightened and her voice became formal. "Dr. Kim Yuna of Earth, you saved my daughter's life. You gave her a home when she had none. Among my people, this creates a bond that cannot be broken." She paused. "You are her mother now, and so I must ask you, will you accept me as well?" Yuna blinked. "I'm sorry? I cannot take her from you." "I will not take her from you, but I cannot leave her again either." Nalith's voice was steady, but her eyes begged. "Let me stay. Let me know her. Let me be part of her life and yours." The wind blew across the field. The soldiers stared. History held its breath. Yuna looked at Lyra. Lyra looked at her. Then, slowly, they both turned to Nalith. "Okay," Yuna said, "but you're going to need to learn how to use chopsticks." The government building in Seoul was in chaos. General Choi Min-ho had not slept in 48 hours. He stood at the head of a long table surrounded by politicians, diplomats, scientists, and military officers. Screens on the walls showed news reports from around the world. Every channel was talking about the same thing: the alien empress who had landed in Korea and refused to leave. "This is an invasion," said Defense Minister Kwon, hitting the table with his fist. "She's here with a ship that could destroy us all. We need to respond with strength." "She came alone," said Dr. Park Yoonji, the lead xenologist. "If she wanted to invade, she would have brought her fleet. This is something else." "Something else? She's demanding to live here, on Earth. An alien ruler wants to settle in our capital city. How is that not an occupation?" Min-ho listened to them argue. He had spent 30 years in the military. He had seen conflicts on 3 continents and 2 moons. He knew what war looked like. This was not war, but he also knew it was not peace. The door opened. Captain Park Do-yeon entered, followed by Dr. Kim Yuna, a young Valari girl, and Empress Nalith herself. The room went silent. Everyone stared at the tall blue figure who walked among them like she owned the building, which Min-ho thought she probably could if she wanted to. "Ladies and gentlemen," Do-yeon said, "Her Majesty has agreed to explain her intentions directly." Nalith moved to the head of the table. She did not ask permission. Min-ho watched her eyes scan the room, taking in every face, every uniform, every weapon hidden under every jacket. She was not afraid of any of them. "Humans," she said, "I understand your fear. An unknown power has come to your world. This is always dangerous." She paused. "But I am not here as a conqueror. I am here as a mother." She looked at Lyra, who stood close to Yuna, holding her hand. 5 years ago, my daughter was on the station Nexith 7 when it was destroyed. I searched the wreckage for her body. I held funeral rites. I mourned. Her voice was steady, but her 4 hands were clenched tight. I did not know that a human scientist had saved her. I did not know she was alive, growing up on this strange blue world, learning your language, eating your food, calling another woman mother. She turned back to the officials. Dr. Kim Yuna did something rare and precious. She risked her life to save a child she did not know. She raised that child with love and care. Among my people, this creates a sacred bond. We call it Vel Torath, the twice-born mother. By our law, Yuna is now as much Lirathan's mother as I am. Defense Minister Kwan frowned. What does that mean for us? For Earth? It means I cannot take my daughter away. The bond of Vel Torath is unbreakable. Lirathan belongs to both of us now. Nalith stepped forward. But I also cannot abandon her. I have already lost her once. I will not lose her again. So, what do you want? Minho asked. It was the first time he had spoken. His voice was calm and direct. Nalith met his eyes. She seemed to respect the simple question. I want to stay, she said. On Earth. Near my daughter. I want to watch her grow. I want to know the woman who saved her. I want to learn why my child loves this world so much. The room exploded with voices. Politicians shouted about sovereignty. Military officers talked about security risks. Diplomats worried about what other alien nations would think. Minho raised his hand. Silence fell. Your Majesty, he said, you rule 12 star systems. You have duties, armies, subjects. How can you simply stay on Earth? I will rule from here. My empire has communication systems that span galaxies. I do not need to sit on a throne to give orders. She paused. And I have made arrangements. My eldest daughter will handle daily matters. I am taking a leave, a very long leave. And your fleet? Minho pressed. Your weapons? Will you bring them here? I will bring nothing. I will live as your laws require. I will pay your taxes, follow your customs, eat your food. A tiny smile crossed her face. I have already learned that you place great importance on recycling. I will recycle. Minho almost laughed. He didn't, but he wanted to. Dr. Park Yunji raised her hand. Your Majesty, this situation is unprecedented. We have no laws for alien rulers residing on Earth, no policies, no protocols. Then make them. Nalith's voice was simple. I will wait. Defense Minister Kwan was red in the face. This is ridiculous. We cannot allow an alien empress to live in Seoul. The security concerns alone. Minister! Nalith turned to him, and her eyes flashed. I have been patient. I have been polite. But let me be clear. She took one step toward him, and he stepped back without meaning to. I am trying to do this the right way. I am trying to respect your world and your people. But my daughter is here, and I will not leave her. She let that sit in the air. You can work with me, she said quietly. Or you can try to stop me. But I think you already know how that would end. The room was very quiet. Minho looked at the Empress. He looked at the scientist holding her adopted daughter's hand. He looked at the scared child with 4 arms who just wanted to go home. We'll need time, he said finally, to discuss, to plan. This is not a simple matter. I understand. Nalith nodded. I will wait on my ship until you decide, but I hope you will decide quickly. I have waited 5 years to hold my daughter. I do not want to wait 5 more. She turned to leave. At the door, she stopped and looked back at Yuna. Dr. Kim, she said, thank you for everything you have done. Her voice softened. I hope we can find a way to do this together. Yuna nodded slowly. I hope so too. Nalith left. The room remained silent. Then Lyra spoke. Her voice was quiet but clear. Can I say something? Everyone looked at her, this 12-year-old girl at the center of a galactic incident. I know this is complicated, Lyra said. I know you're scared of her, but she's not bad. She's a mom who lost her kid. And she found me again, and she didn't come here with guns or armies. She came here alone because she wanted to do it right. She looked around the table at all the powerful adults. On Earth, families are important, right? That's what you always say. Family comes first. She squeezed Yuna's hand. Well, this is my family. Both of them. And I think they can share. She stopped talking. She looked a little embarrassed. Minho looked at this child who had just spoken more sense than everyone else in the room combined. Out of the mouths of babes, he murmured. He turned to the table. We'll figure this out. We'll make it work. He looked at Yuna. Dr. Kim, it seems you're going to need a bigger apartment. Yuna laughed, a small, tired, slightly crazy laugh. General, she said, I'm going to need a lot more than that. Empress Nalith had ruled 12 star systems. She had commanded fleets of 10,000 ships. She had negotiated with beings made of pure energy and creatures that lived in the hearts of stars. But she could not figure out how to use a rice cooker. The instructions say to press this button, she muttered, staring at the small machine. But when I press it, nothing happens. Yuna walked into the kitchen of her new apartment, a larger one provided by the government with extra rooms and reinforced floors. She looked at the rice cooker, then at the Empress standing over it with all 4 hands raised in frustration. You need to plug it in first, Yuna said. Nalith looked at the cord hanging loose. Her eyes narrowed. This is a test, she said. Your appliances are testing me. Yuna smiled. She couldn't help it. In the 3 weeks since Nalith had moved to Earth, the Empress had faced many challenges. Some were political, endless meetings with government officials, security protocols, media interviews. But most were simply human. Nalith did not understand why humans ate 3 meals a day instead of 1. She did not understand why they slept at night instead of whenever they were tired. She did not understand why they wore different clothes every day when one set of armor worked perfectly well. And she really did not understand why they made machines that needed to be plugged in. On Valari worlds, all devices draw power from ambient energy fields, Nalith explained, finally plugging in the rice cooker. This electricity of yours is very primitive. Primitive but effective, Yuna said. And it makes decent rice. Nalith pressed the button. The machine beeped and lit up. She looked at it with deep suspicion. We shall see. From the other room, Lyra laughed. She was sitting on the couch watching both her mothers with amusement. These past weeks had been strange for her, overwhelming, confusing, wonderful. She had 2 mothers now, 2 completely different women who were both trying very hard. Yuna was the same as always, warm, patient, a little worried. She made sure Lyra did her homework and ate her vegetables and went to bed on time. Nalith was different. She was formal and serious. She didn't know how to be casual, but she was trying. She asked Lyra about school. She watched human movies with her, even though she didn't understand most of the jokes. She was learning, and sometimes, late at night, Nalith would tell Lyra stories about the Valari homeworld, about crystal forests and purple skies and creatures that sang in colors instead of sounds, about the palace where Lyra was born, and the sisters she didn't remember, and the father who had died long ago. Lyra kept those stories in her heart like treasures. But not everything was easy. The world was watching. News drones flew over their apartment constantly. Reporters waited outside. People on the internet argued about whether this was good or bad, safe or dangerous. Some humans welcomed Nalith. They said she represented peace and friendship between species. Others were afraid. They said she was a spy, a trick, the first step of an invasion. And far away in the Valari Empire, others were watching too. High Commander Vorath stood on his warship. looking at the reports from Earth. His face was hard and cold. He had served the Empire for 200 years. He had fought in wars and crushed rebellions. He believed in strength. He believed in power. He did not believe in what Nalith was doing. "She shames us," he said to his officers. "The Empress of the Valari, living among primitives, cooking their food, following their laws. She makes us look weak." "She has her reasons, Commander," said one officer carefully. The princess is one child. The Empire is billions of souls." Vorath turned from the window. "Nalith has forgotten her duty. She has forgotten who she is. If she will not remember—" His eyes were cold. "Then she must be reminded." Back on Earth, Yuna and Nalith had no idea what was coming. They were too busy trying to survive something even more frightening. Lyra's school. "You want me to attend a parent meeting?" Nalith said the words like they were in a foreign language, which, to be fair, they were. "It's called a parent-teacher conference," Yuna explained. "We meet with Lyra's teachers. They tell us how she's doing in class." "Can't they simply send a report?" "They could, but it's more personal this way. It shows we care." Nalith considered this. "And both of us must attend?" Yuna hesitated. "You don't have to. I know it might be uncomfortable. People will stare." "People always stare at me. I am very tall and very blue." Nalith straightened her shoulders. "I will attend. Lyra is my daughter, too. I will show that I care." The conference was that evening. They walked into the school together, Yuna, Nalith, and Lyra. Every parent in the hallway stopped and stared. Children pointed, teachers dropped their papers. Nalith walked through them all like she was walking through her own palace. Her head was high. Her 4 arms were folded behind her back. She looked at each human as if daring them to say something. No one did. They met with Lyra's teacher, a nervous young woman named Miss Song. She kept glancing at Nalith's 4 arms while talking about Lyra's math scores. "Lyra is doing very well," Miss Song said. "She's excellent at problem-solving, very creative. She struggles a bit with history, but that's understandable. She missed the early years of the curriculum." "Because she was being raised on an alien space station," Nalith said calmly. "Before it exploded." Miss Song's eye twitched. "Yes, that would explain it." After the conference, they walked home through the evening streets. Lyra held both her mother's hands, one of Yuna's, one of Nalith's. People stared. Lyra didn't care. She felt warm and safe. "That was not so terrible," Nalith admitted. "Your teacher is frightened of me, but she seems competent." "She's nice," Lyra said. "She gave me extra time on tests when I first started school and couldn't read Korean very well." Nalith looked down at her daughter. "You couldn't read Korean?" "I was 5, and I only knew Valari. Yama taught me everything." Lyra squeezed Yuna's hand. "She used to read to me every night, children's books with pictures. That's how I learned." Nalith was quiet. She looked at Yuna with something new in her eyes, respect, gratitude, maybe even admiration. "Thank you," she said softly. Yuna smiled. "She's my daughter. It's what mothers do." "Yes," Nalith said. "It is." They reached their apartment building. Waiting outside was an old woman with silver hair and sharp eyes. She was their neighbor from the floor below, Grandma Bong Soon. She was small, wrinkled, and not afraid of anything. "There you are," she said. "I made soup, too much soup. You will eat it." She looked at Nalith. "You are too thin. Do they not feed empresses on your planet?" Nalith blinked. No one had spoken to her like this in centuries. We eat nutrient paste mostly. It is efficient." "Efficient." Grandma Bong Soon made a disgusted noise. "No wonder you're grumpy. Come, soup, now." She marched into the building. Yuna covered her mouth to hide her laugh. Lyra giggled openly. Nalith stood frozen for a moment. Then, slowly, something happened that Yuna had never seen before. Nalith smiled, a real smile. "I like her," she said. They went inside. They ate soup. Grandma Bongsoon told them about her time in the military and asked Nalith about faster-than-light travel. It was strange. It was wonderful. It felt like family. But far above them, in the darkness of space, Vorath's ships were moving, and the danger was getting closer. The attack came at night. Lyra was asleep in her room when the windows shattered. Yuna was in the kitchen when the walls cracked. Nalith was meditating in the living room when 3 figures in black armor crashed through the ceiling. Valari assassins, elite warriors of High Commander Vorath. They moved like shadows. They carried blades that glowed with dark energy. They had one mission: capture the Empress and the Princess. Kill anyone who got in the way. Nalith rose to face them. She had no weapons. She had come to Earth unarmed, as a gesture of peace. But she was not helpless. She was Empress of the Velari. She had trained in combat since childhood. "You dare attack me here?" she said, her voice like ice. "Vorath sends assassins like a coward?" "The commander sends a message," said the lead assassin. "Come home. Resume your duties, or your line ends tonight." "My line?" Nalith's eyes flashed. "You threaten my daughter?" "We threaten all of them." In her bedroom, Lyra woke to chaos. She heard fighting, crashing, her mother's voice shouting in Valari. She wanted to hide. She wanted to curl up under her bed and close her eyes. But then she heard Yuna scream. Lyra ran out of her room. She saw her Iyama on the floor, an assassin standing over her with a blade raised. She saw Nalith fighting 2 attackers at once, being pushed back, overwhelmed. She saw her family about to die. Something broke inside Lyra. Something that had been sleeping since she was a tiny child in a burning station. She felt it rise up, hot, bright, unstoppable. "Stop!" The scream tore out of her. But it wasn't just sound. It was light. Pure, blinding light that exploded from her body in all directions. The assassins flew backward, crashing into walls. Their armor cracked, their weapons shattered. Lyra stood in the center of the room, glowing like a star. She didn't know how she was doing this. She didn't know what she was doing. She only knew she had to protect her family. The lead assassin struggled to his feet. His mask had fallen off. His face was burned. He looked at Lyra with shock and fear. "The princess," he whispered. "She has the old power, the light of the first Velari." He didn't finish. A frying pan hit him in the head. Grandma Bongsoon stood in the doorway, holding the pan like a weapon. Her hair was messy. Her nightgown was torn. Her eyes were furious. "Get out of my building," she said. The assassin stared at her. He was an elite warrior of a galactic empire. He had killed dozens of enemies. He had never been hit with a frying pan before. He charged at her. He never reached her. A bullet took him in the leg. He fell. General Choi Minho stepped through the broken door, his pistol raised, a squad of soldiers behind him. "We got the alert," he said calmly. "Situation?" "Under control," Nalith said, rising from the floor. Her face was bruised. Her arm was cut. But she was smiling at Grandma Bongsoon with something like wonder. "Your elderly civilians are very effective fighters." "I am not elderly," Grandma Bongsoon snapped. "I am experienced." The soldiers secured the assassins. Medics arrived. The apartment looked like a war zone, but everyone was alive. Yuna sat on the couch, holding Lyra tight. The girl was shaking, the glow fading from her skin. She looked exhausted and scared. "Ayama," she whispered. "What happened to me? What did I do?" Yuna stroked her hair. "You saved us. That's what you did." Nalith knelt in front of them. Her eyes were soft. "Lyra, what you did, it is an ancient gift, very rare among our people, The light of the first Valari from when we were young among the stars. She touched Lyra's cheek. I did not know you had it. It usually awakens only in moments of great emotion, great love. Lyra looked at her. Will it happen again? Perhaps. When you need it. Nalith glanced at Yuna. When you are protecting those you love. They sat together in the ruined apartment, two mothers and their daughter. Soldiers moved around them. The night sky showed through the broken ceiling. It was cold and messy and terrifying. But they were together. That was what mattered. In the days that followed, everything changed. Vorath was arrested. His ships were captured. The news spread across the Valari Empire. The High Commander had tried to assassinate the Empress and the Princess. He had failed. He had been stopped not by Valari warriors, but by humans. An old woman with a pan. A general with a pistol. A scientist who threw herself in front of an assassin's blade to protect her daughter. The Empire was shocked. Then they were impressed. Humans are stronger than we thought, people said. Not in weapons or technology, in spirit, in courage, in love. Nalith sent a message to her empire. She told them what had happened. She told them about Yuna's bravery, about Grandma Bong Soon's frying pan, about General Minho's soldiers arriving to help without being asked. She told them about Earth, this strange little world with its messy emotions and fierce hearts. These people saved my daughter, she said. Twice, once from fire and death, and now from my own empire's treachery. Her voice was strong and clear. From this day forward, Earth is under the protection of the Valari, not as subjects, not as servants, but as kin, as family. The message spread across 12 star systems. Humanity was no longer alone in the universe. They had family. 1 month later, the apartment was repaired. Yuna, Nalith, and Lyra sat at the kitchen table for dinner. Yuna had made kimchi stew. Nalith had made a Valari dish of crystal vegetables, only slightly burned. Grandma Bong Soon was there too, because she was always there now. She was teaching Nalith to make proper soup. Nalith was teaching her about stellar navigation. They argued constantly. They liked each other very much. General Minho had stopped by to check on them. He stood by the window, drinking tea, watching this strange little family with something like wonder on his face. You know, he said, when I was young, I always thought first contact would be different. Armies and speeches and treaties. Instead, you got frying pans and rice cookers, Yuna said. I got a family. Minho smiled slightly. Strangest family I've ever seen. But maybe that's the point. At the table, Lyra looked at everyone. Her Korean mother, who had carried her out of fire. Her Valari mother, who had crossed galaxies to find her. Her grumpy grandmother, who wasn't really her grandmother. Her general, who wasn't really her uncle. Her family. Iyama, she said, looking at Yuna. Mother, she said, looking at Nalith. Can I say something? Of course, baby, Yuna said. Lyra smiled. I'm really happy. Nalith's eyes glistened. She reached across the table and took Lyra's hand. Yuna took her other hand. They sat like that, connected, complete. So are we, Nalith said softly. So are we. Outside, the stars shone over Seoul. Somewhere out there, the Valari Empire watched over Earth. Somewhere out there, new adventures waited. But in this small apartment, on this ordinary night, there was only peace. Humanity had looked to the stars for centuries, wondering if they were alone. They had imagined first contact as a moment of science and politics and history. They never imagined it would be this. A mother finding her daughter, a family learning to love each other, a universe becoming a little bit smaller and a lot more kind. They never imagined that family would be what found them, and they never imagined it would feel so much like home.